saw the angel Gabriel, she then came with these qualifications and competency. You are the most kind, caring person. You fulfill trusts and rights. You take care of your neighbor. You take care and look out for those who are in need. How could God allow this to happen to you that you are suspecting? She's thinking of competence. This made him worthy of this massive task of carrying the final message of God to humanity. All competence begins with knowledge. Knowledge is a core fundamental element of worship in Islam. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, when he first received revelation, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. Read in the name of your Lord who created everything. It was very strange to him, just like it was for 97, 80, 98% of the rest of the people in Mecca, to be told to read, because none of them read. But this is God saying it's time to learn how to read so that you become people of principled, codified knowledge, preserved resources of intellectual means. And you should do that as a spiritual process in the name of your Lord who created everything. All things that you will write, all things that you will read should be doing something to understand the value and purpose that the Creator has put us here to live upon. And so a believer should constantly be seeking knowledge. You know, the Prophet ﷺ said in various hadiths that the priority and the precedence, the prominence is for the person of knowledge over the ritual worshiper. In one hadith, he said that the prominence of a person of knowledge is more so than the ritual worshiper, the one that prays lots of rak'ahs and does lots of tasbih and fasts a lot. He said, like the difference between me and the worst among you. And what we know from the well authentically transmitted hadith is that there were people among the companions of the Prophet ﷺ that murdered and committed fornication and drank alcohol and so forth. They were human beings like us. Some of you are looking at me strange. There were thousands of companions. You've heard about 50 really powerful, amazing, spiritual, pious people. There were many other human beings following him and believing him and dying as such. And so the Prophet ﷺ was emphasizing that because that will give you competence, knowledge. And the Prophet ﷺ struggled for it. And Allah made it easy on him. وَلَا تَعْجَلْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَن يُقْضَى إِلَيْكَ وَحْيُ وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he first would get these ayahs, in the early time, the Prophet ﷺ would be like reciting it and repeating it, trying to make sure he keeps it. He's working at his competence. So Allah tells him, don't keep trying to recite it over and over. Let me reveal it to you, and then ask me to increase you in knowledge. Meaning, take it easy. You know, you don't have to do it like that. And ask me to increase you in knowledge. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ أَلَّا يَكُونُ مُؤْمِنِينَ. The Prophet ﷺ was literally deeply depressed and broke down. You know what this ayah means? فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ. Allah says, you are killing yourself that the people will not be believers. Meaning all the tafsir is in agreement here. Because he's like, oh man, how are these people rejecting me? I've explained it very clear. It's obvious, it's natural. Why are the people constantly disbelieving? He was really, really worried and upset and bothered by this. He felt this responsibility deeply. He was really working hard at it. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that's why he told people that God loves that if you do something, do it to the best of your ability. كَتَبَ اللَّهُ الْإِحْسَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Allah has prescribed that you should excel at whatever you do. You should seek excellence in whatever it is that you do. So you have to have vision. What is vision? If we need to scoot up, the brothers are trying to find a place to sit here, inshallah. If we can, fill the spots here, inshallah. Vision is an aspirational idea that someone sets out to achieve a goal, and they're working towards this goal, this big picture, long-term goal. Strategy without vision is like a car full of gas, but we don't have a GPS. or a map, and we know we have to go all the way over there to some place. This is why it is crucial for us as believers to make sure that we set vision as individuals, as a family, as a mosque community. We should have a vision. What are we just trying to keep in the hamster wheel, keep it going, make some money, pay some bills? Are we trying to achieve something? Are we trying to do something to leave an impact that will be prophetic and profound? So the Prophet ﷺ, يُحِبُّ مَعَالِيَ الْأُمُورِ. Allah loves that you would make the highest and most lofty goals and visions. وَيَكْرَهْ سَفْسَافَهَا. That you would say, oh, I'm just going to try to do this, just get by. That's not the way of a believer. Prophetic vision, you have to communicate this message to everyone on earth. He knew this. So he went up on Mount Safa in the very beginning, and he told everybody. He used his integrity that they know him by, his qualifications. If I told you there's an army coming, what would you do? They said, we'll get ready for the army. He said, but why? مَا جَرَّبْنَا عَلَيْكَ كَذِبًا. We never knew you to lie, so we'll just go ahead and believe you, even though we don't see them on the other side of the mountain. So he told them, as a matter of fact, if you all continue in the ways that you're living, with the beliefs and the values and the notion of worship, you will face a very severe punishment on the day of judgment, in which you will be resurrected after you die, which to them was crazy. So he went through all kinds of abuse and mockery after that for another 11 years. And they went through so much. But the Prophet ﷺ had that vision. So in the Battle of Badr, you have this massive group of 1,000 some odd Meccan people with lots of armor, with lots of different weapons and many horses to use. And then you have these Prophet ﷺ's companions, maybe a third of the group, with very little resources. And when the battle started, the Prophet ﷺ kept saying over and over, سَيُهْزَمُ الْجَمْعُ وَيُوَلُّونَ الدُّبُرَ. Allah had revealed to him in the Quran that they will gather to come destroy you, and then you will defeat them. They will be defeated and they will run away in retreat. That's what Allah said. So the Prophet's telling them this. سَيُهْزَمُ الْجَمْعُ وَيُوَلُّونَ الدُّبُرَ. And they all started to say it. And exactly what that ayah said happened. They had vision, they believed in it, they knew this is the truth. And the same thing, digging the ditch. The Muslims are surrounded by all of these 10,000 people that came to destroy and completely vanquish Islam and the Muslim community. And so they came to him saying, there's this big rock here. It won't break. So the Prophet ﷺ goes over there with vision, believing that Allah will protect him. And so he hits that rock, Bismillah, boom, and it cracks open and the light comes out. And then he tells them, I can see when the Muslims will be in Yemen and they will be the dominant reality. At that time, there were very few Muslims in Yemen. And then he hit it again, Bismillah, cracks open, the light shoots out. And then he says, the Muslims will then have the wealth and the resources of the extravagant Persian dynasty, which at that time was the America of the day in the world. And the Muslims would have been the Puerto Rico of the day. It was some pretty profound visionary belief. And then he hits it again and he says, the Muslims will go into Rome, which back then Byzantium was known as Rome, and their capital was Constantinople, which is now called Istanbul, just so you know. That all seemed crazy to everyone there. But the Prophet ﷺ had vision, and his vision all came to fruition. We need that vision in our lives. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فإنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Do not sell yourself short. There was clearly a plan in place. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a documented fact. From September 11, 2001 There was a plan to make everybody believe that that event was something we're all responsible for. And then actions they took militarily, knowing good and well how a Muslim will respond if you invade their land, that they can use that event to say, see, looking at the geopolitical, socioeconomic realities of the Muslim world, which they very much had been working to develop and cultivate it the way it is for decades, since 1914 in the Sykes-Picot Accord. Just go ahead and read your history. We need to stop this Islam in the world. That was back then, 1914. That was the plan. So if you're feeling, oh, I should be shy about being Muslim. Brother asked me, he said, I'd like to take some brothers and go do some training on shooting guns at the place. He said, would it look good for a bunch of Muslim guys? I said, why should we think like this? There's absolutely nothing wrong with a Muslim owning a gun and learning how to shoot it in this country. Every one of us should have guns and know how to shoot it just in case we need it. Now, safety and all of that, you have to study. And I've had many, many cases where I came to find out when people know good and well, schools are limiting their rights of their children and they're being discriminatory and they don't want to ruffle the feathers. You have to be a leader. You have to stand for truth. You have to be someone who is known for integrity, competence, and vision, that you know that you have the truth. It's built on evidence. If the reason why you're Muslim is because I was raised in a Muslim family, it's time to dig in, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Because that's not a reason to be Muslim. That doesn't make Islam right. It doesn't make you knowing or following Islam correctly. It just makes you affiliated with Islam through cultural heritage. It is crucial for us to step up and be who we were called to be. That's as individuals, that's as families, and that's as mosque communities. We have a vision to do work in this mosque and to put together groups of people. We have groups. We're seeing very loose commitments. The sky is the limit. Other groups are out there doing great work and they're not Muslim. It is time for us to own this message. When the Prophet ﷺ, his message was defined as وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have only sent you, Muhammad ﷺ, for one reason, to be a source of rahmah for everyone and everything on earth. Some people will picture in their mind, rahmah means to be nice and open the door for someone. It is, but that's not what it's talking about. That's safsafaha. That's the very simple, easy thing we can all do. What it means is to be collectively engaged in making the world a better place for everyone. We need to be known for that creative, innovative contribution that is driven by faith and knowledge of prophetic truth and legacy. And when we do that, Islamophobia will get no attention. It will have no influence. So I ask Allah to fill our hearts with a sense of integrity, competence, and vision. Ya Allah, we ask you to guide us. Make the straight path of guidance clear for us. Ya Allah, bring us together as your servants. Make us to do your work in this world. Put us forth on the straight path and give us success in it. Make the day of judgment a day that we're ready for when our death comes. Ya Allah, make us among those who are worthy of your eternal contentment and pleasure. Ya Allah, make the heavens a place for us and our families and our loved one. Make us instruments that other people can be worthy of your contentment. Ya Allah, make us among those who heard a good word and followed it to the best of their ability, and send your peace and blessings and mercy on your final messenger, Muhammad wa aqim as-salat.